everyone. I'd like to welcome you to all to Accessibility Talks, the monthly virtual meetup where we chat about digital accessibility, inclusivity, and usability. Each month, we invite a speaker to present a topic, and afterwards, we invite the community to ask questions and participate in the discussion. I'm your host today. My name is Kat Shaw. I'm a senior front end developer with Lullabot. My pronouns are she and her. I am wearing a black Drupal ball cap with my hair in a ponytail. I have my eyeglasses and I'm wearing a black jacket. I want to take a moment to remind everyone that our group seeks to provide a friendly, safe environment where we require all participants to adhere to the Accessibility Talks Code of Conduct. This applies to all community interaction and events, and this also applies to verbal questions as well as chat and text channels. The Code of Conduct can be found on our website at https://alleytalks.com. All participants should be able to engage in a productive dialogue and should share and learn with each other in the atmosphere with mutual respect. I want to give a shout out to our Alley Cat Club members. Thank you so much for your monthly financial contributions. Want to see your name on that list? Visit our website to learn more about our budget priorities and goals and how you can join the Alley Cat Club too. Currently, I'm not sharing my screen. There we go. That would be helpful. This month's speaker is Sibu Stephen, a UI consultant at Digital Polygon, talking about accessibility with dark light theme. If you have questions for our speakers, please add the hashtag #AlleyTalks, that's A11yTalks, or type into the chat. At the end of this presentation, we'll take some time for Q&A. Okay, at this time, I'd like to talk about some fun facts. Sibu. So you like to produce music remixes, so DJ mashup and publish on SoundCloud, is that right?
Yes, I do that a lot.
Okay, cool. And you like playing table tennis and you do swimming when time allows?
Yes, I do it on weekends when I get time. Yeah, mostly I do on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay, great. And then one other thing, you published a book in 2018 called Livelihood of Living, is that right?
Yes, it talks about the youths and the daily scenarios which youths they face. So it's a pretty good book. So everyone should read that.
Okay. And you can find it on Amazon, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll share a link to it for you. Okay, okay, Sibu, you go ahead and take it away.
Okay, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone, and good evening, everyone, for different parts of the world. So today I'll be talking about dark mode and light mode with respect to accessibility. So over here we greet everyone with Namaste, which is joining hands, which is tradition in India. So I wanted to um, tell it as Namaste to everyone in the session. So, about me, I'm a front-end engineer, UI consultant, and digital polygon, and I worked on a couple of companies, including Acquia and Srijan and Kobe Technologies. So, I've been in digital polygon since last 1 year, and it's a consultant firm which specializes in Drupal and Web3 related technologies. So I think Kat already talked about me. I just added a slide. I like exploring UX, and I did like I do like writing book, and I published a book, and I like to produce music, EDM music. So that's some of the facts about me. So I think the link is shared. Let me share the link on the channel. Um, yeah, so I would like everyone to join the gift tournament. So before that, so it contains animations. So it's just a warning that if someone doesn't like animations, so please do not join. But if there's some other conditions or something, so I would advise not to join. But if not, then please join the link which is shared. Um, I think it should be shared in the comment section. So basically, let me tell the game rules. So how to play that? Enter your name. There's a question given at the top. You need to search the GIF which is suitable for that particular question, and submit your answer. And once the answer is submitted, there will be everyone will be able to see other GIFs like the participants GIF, and they need to choose the one which they like the most. So we need to vote one GIF, and then which is funny, which you think it's funny, and which suits the question. So the maximum, if there are maximum votes for one GIF, then that wins. So I hope it's shared on the channel. Uh, yeah. So do join in and start typing for any GIF which you like. Um so I'll just type amazing. So there'll be list of GIFs which will be appearing, and it should appear. Um, you need to select one which you like it. So like, okay, so okay. I think everyone is ready. Let me start. So, so right now everyone will be able to see the gifts which others have shared. So you can select the one which you like the most. So there's a timer over here which is 1 minute. So the gift which you like, you can go ahead and choose that one. So I like the cat which is playing around. So I voted it. Similarly, you guys can vote. You two have voted. The timer is ticking. So basically, this game is very. We can use it in our working environment to hang along with the teams and like that. So okay, so everyone has voted. We have Carrie, who has one with 2 votes. So that's the one which I liked as well. So Cat is second, and third is Matt. Yeah. Yeah, it was all amazing. All the clips were amazing. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in the small, quick, energizing game. So, what I'll be covering today? So, I'll be talking about dark modes and light modes, and what's the philosophy of light mode and dark mode, why we use it, and how to use it at the CSS level, and I'll be explaining that with an example, and then I'll be explaining a short about Drupal theming and what we can do in Drupal for light mode to be used, light and dark mode to be used, and then some basic tools which everyone should be using as a developer or as a manager or anyone who likes to wish to use the tools. And then at the last, I'll be talking about a topic which is a use case which I came across last week, and it's a plus point, it's a bonus point. So it's not related to light and dark theme, but I wanted to share with the wider audience what I had learned. So let's begin. So let's take a look at these two modes. So we normally at a day-to-day life we use normal mode, which is light mode. The colors all blend in, but there are some issues with light mode. There are and But when Google introduced black mode, where it is more soothing to our eyes, the colors and all suits us, so we normally use black mode. Especially I also use black mode a lot when it was introduced, and it is good, but up to some extent. So I'll be testing this particular page, and I'll show what are the issues on this page as a contrast issue at the at the ending of the slides. So, what are the benefits of dark theme? So, it reduces the eye strain in the process. So, when we continuously see black text on a white screen, and we tend to read a big text on the white screen, then it has some strain which comes to eyes. So, dark theme has reduced this strain to our eyes, and according to AAO, which is American Academy of Ophthalmology, it recommends dark mode at evening because at evening our when we turn off the light and we start to scroll our screens, there's a blue light which emits from the blue screen from the phones or any devices. So that affects our eyes and retina, and our retina bulges. So if we use dark mode up to some extent, it reduces that amount of emission, and it helps us in some or the other way. And there's a syndrome called blue light syndrome, which goes down up to some level. So it normally happens with children because children are tend to use more of the screen time in mobiles or tablets or any other devices. So myopia is one uh, challenge which children face and also adults face, where our retina bulges like a rugby ball. So that is a very serious issue because we can't see distant objects. So, but we can see the normal closer objects, but we can't see the distant object. So we are tend to wear glasses. So people who have this, they should recommend. They should go for dark thing. Even I have that, so I can't see distant objects. So while traveling or while driving my car, I can't see distant objects. So yeah, so I use this black mode, black dark theme on my devices, on my mobile, my laptop, and my tablet. So there's one tip as well which I have included, which is look away from your screen. So for 20 minutes. Suppose you're working on your screen on your laptop, and you're continuously working. You need to take a 20 minutes look away gap. And also, if you're looking at an object from 20 feet away, you need to at least be aware for 20 seconds. So this gives your eyes to replenish or to refresh from seeing on the screen for a long duration of time. So eventually you should take a gap while you are working or while you are on mobile. You should not take mobile. You should not work on mobile every day, like continuously. So and there, so talking about dark theme, we talked about dark theme. So when we talk about light theme, it's clean and natural and readable. So uh, in the older days, we had only black screens in the terminals. We used to work on terminals which are black screen and green text on that. So when white screen was introduced, it's clean, like you can read text, but it has some cons which I'll be explaining later. So second point, light mode can display information in a clear and visual way than dark mode. Yes, this is applicable for some extent. Um, so, if for example, when children have their books, they have their books. It's all white, right? And we have black pencils to write. So it's not a black paper or white pen, right? So it's because we can't do that in normal book, but when children can do that, so light mode can give display with purity and clarity. So this is the third point, which is there. For example, in Apple's promotion, we have a widescreen, and their promotion is done in widescreen. So there's a reason for that why Apple does that in Apple's promotion, and they don't use black text, black background and on white with white text. So we talked about some of the benefits, which is there with dark theme and light theme. So when choosing, does it mean that we should be taking into consideration aesthetics and empathy while choosing? So this come into picture when we are designing a website. The designers normally design a website on the basis of one theme which is provided. So it's just about the perspective about development. So they develop according to one particular mock-up design, and there's only one version of that. There's no dark version of that. There would be either light or dark version. So while developing as well, we should be able to not combine our aesthetics and empathy into this. Empathy is basically having uh, like coming to shoes of another person, and let's say if that person likes black theme or that client likes black theme, they would go ahead for uh, dark theme, and it would be only one variation. While if they are not thinking about other users who are visually challenged or who have some issues with accessibilities in their day-to-day life. So so I think this should be related with design thinking 101. So there are six phases in designing, which is empathizing your designing, defining, ideating, prototyping, testing, and implementing your designs. So um, while empathizing, you're researching about one particular user. You're not concentrating about all the users which are there. So one type of user who's not visually challenged, but another type of user who is visually challenged. So we tend to focus on one group while we are designing a particular website or something. Not just a website. It can be a product or anything. So um, basically dark and light mode can be empathizing thing up to some extent. uh, so that's what this is, and let's let me talk about this slide where so there's Scott, who is a well-known accessibility advocate. So I read his blogs and I went through a video. So I'll share this link with you guys on the channel about empathy. Why empathy doesn't is not to be mixed in your design, because we normally do that. we normally, it's not the fault that we shouldn't do, but up to some extent we should do it, but not always. So there's also a empathy case study which I had recently read, and it was a very beautiful thing, which talks about empathy a lot. So these links will be shared at the end of the session. So one other fact which I came about was Steve Skosher, who is the inventor of Tailwind CSS. So that Tailwind CSS is used worldwide. So he actually wrote a tweet. He stated a tweet where he stated, when implementing in dark mode, don't throw away the visual cues in the light version by naively inverting the color schemes. So it's not just about inverting the colors from white to dark. White theme, it has specific color contrast ratios, while black theme, it has some other contrast ratios. So it's not just like converting black background color and color of the text to white and background to black. It's about the aesthetics as well. Like, let's say it shouldn't be white, but it's a grayish color which all the visually impaired people can also have a look on that. So he has this image shared with him. So here, if you see, yeah, so this is the closest, which is white in color, and this one is in black. So he says closest element should still be lighter. So this should be lighter instead of being darker. So that at some extent it does affect the dark UI. And if we are trying to accomplish the light and dark theme, it doesn't. It's not about having a light color or dark color. Yeah. So it's just the definition of design is not just putting all together your information or content together. It's has a multiple definition. As I said, there's no single definition, and design can be art. It can be aesthetics, and design is simple. That's why it's so complicated. So it's true that design is so simple. That's why it's so complicated. At times, designing a website or designing a product, it's upon the product owner or the designer or to think about a particular group or a particular set of people. But it's very hard to um, take into account all the categories of people and designing a product. But that's the challenge, and if we are able to accomplish that challenge, then we are at the top of the accessibility market. So, what are the drawbacks of dark theme? So, astigmatism is a process where our retina eyes are bulged, and then we can't read the white text on the black background properly. So we say that, yeah, dark mode, using dark mode is good on mobile or any other devices, but it has some drawbacks. So first one is astigmatism, where you can't read um, many text. Like, there are many words which has a scrollable content, and if you keep reading, it will be at some point um, it would be shady, and you won't be able to see the text. And halation is the process where you will be able to see blurred images, blurred content. Like, I'll be showing what blurred content is on the next slide, and it would be you guys can guess what it is. And though pure black background kills all light emitting from screen, and the as it does that, it if we continuously see on the dark screen as well, there are some shortcomings. And white text on background is banned in college presentations. So the reason for this is myopia, which I had explained before. Continuously scrolling to with a black background text, you'll be seeing some blurred text, like when you keep reading. So your dark mode should could be messing with user experience up to 70%, 47% of your user base. So we think, yeah, black dark mode is good, and it should be used everywhere. But yeah, it doesn't. It's not the case. There's about 47% of user base who is affected by a dark mode. So this is the classic example of halation. I think many of you guys have seen this image. What this is? This is basically a black hole. So this is what halation is. This is what we halation looks like for us. When this condition is normally happen, it normally happens to the young people in younger generations. Um, okay. So as I talked before, myopia, light mode thus has a cost associated to better performance, and its long-term risk of eye disease. So one other drawback of light theme is it uses high amount of power in your screen or any mobile devices, and that's one drawback of using light theme. So normally dark mode consumes less power as compared to light theme, light background. So so I explained some of the use cases where black mode is not good, light mode is not good. So what's the solution like? What should a person who likes dark mode a lot should use in their should use or should design, or like specific to designer, what should they do? So there's one solution for light theme and for the dark theme. So here, if you see in this text, there is a concept where of contrast polarity. So contrast polarity is the two objects, the contrast between two objects. If those matches, then our eyes doesn't get much strained. So here, if you see this text, the color of this text is four triple four hashtag triple four hexacode. So this is basically a lighter version of gray. So this, if you use this text, then the problem which I described, having text on the longer screen with the black background. So the when there is an issue with your eyes and it is blur at that time, then this color which is gray, that does makes it soothing for your eyes. So this is one solution for black mode. And here, if you see, it's not a black text, it's a gray text on the white background. And here, if you see, it's about the contrast polarity which I explained. The contrast polarity is very you say it's a very vast topic, and I just wanted to like present here about the colors. Talking about contrast polarity, I'll share another link. It has a huge documentation on that, what it is exactly. So here, as I said, having this color over white background, it decreases our eye strain and strengthens our reading stamina. So not having this black text over white, but having a dark gray shade color on a white background, it's much more good. And similarly, having a instead of black background, having a dark gray background over white text, that would be better as compared to having a black text over white black white text over black background. So you can change your settings over phone as well. If you're using night mode, then it has a default brownish text which with black text. And if you're using your phone with dark mode, you can change the custom setting to use it with a dark gray color. And similarly for white background as well. So there is one research topic where this is the color test result from Dr. Lauren Sharaf. So it shows the scale of the results, or like which is maximum used. So here, if you see this black on white, so this is widely used by most of us. while the second most used is white on black, and the least one which is used is red and green. So this is the worst combination to use in any of the scenarios. So this is one of the bible, you can say, which a designer uses while developing a site or developing the color schemes required for their sites. So I'll be sharing these links at the end of the session. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, black on white, black on gray, blue on white, and white on black and yellow. So these are the five combinations which are used. CMYK is one which is used in paper industry. So it does has the combination of these colors, and similarly RGBA color. So this has the best color contrast combinations in general. So, talking about color schemes for accessibility, we use media query, which is preferred color scheme media query for system dark mode. When it's enabled, it detects the dark mode, and for light mode, also it detects the light mode. So I'll just show an example how it works. So we have this particular container which changes according to the system operating system's mode. So let's say we have this light mode. Let me refresh this. So this uses the system's by default mode, which is light mode or dark mode. So if you see, this doesn't change. For example, if I do this, so this one changed because I changed the system setting to dark, while this doesn't didn't change. So what's the use case here, like why did I do this? So this is just to explain a scenario where you want your web page to use the operating system dark mode or light mode, but the particular component, it shouldn't affect. If your component doesn't wants to be affected by that system operating system modes, so then in this case we use a JavaScript to detect which media is used, color scheme is used. So here we have used this prefer dark color scheme dark. So it yeah, this then this is a variable which is used to check what's the color in the system. So if you go on console and check what the preferred color here, preferred color scheme is basically it detects the operating system's dark mode, light mode, as I said, and this basically toggles. So if you're toggling between your content or between this when I click on this text, it changes its mode by default. So here, what I am doing is here I am just checking whether when I'm clicking on this particular button, I am just checking whether the class has changed or no. So if the class is, I'm just swapping the classes here. So this would be a scenario where a particular component within a page doesn't wants to be manipulated with the dark mode or light mode or system's dark mode or light mode. So yep. So I'll be explaining this in Drupal as well in a short while. So I talked about some few of the facts of the dark theme and color theme. I wanted to touch base about Drupal content management system, which is Drupal theming. So it's a basic definition which I had composed long back. It's the art of choosing theme, overriding concept theme, and making necessary changes in order to deliver a site as required. And believe me, it's not just about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's way more than that. So that's what I've learned throughout my career in Drupal. So there are a few videos as well, which talks about which is in Drupalize.me and YouTube, which talks about Drupal theming in depth. So, a prerequisite of Drupal is these are the basics one, which is used, but these have evolved to Yarn. So Gulp was used. So nowadays we use Yarn, and SAS compiler is the same, and jQuery is the library which is used in Drupal by default, but yeah, we should prefer JavaScript over jQuery a lot, and then Twig. So these are the prerequisite of Drupal theming. So in order to showcase the dark mode and light mode in Drupal, I wanted to show a module which is used, which is basically a toggle, which uses a toggle functionality. So I can just show that module which is used here. So it's basically a dark mode JS to detect which. Let me check that model. Yeah. So this is the dark mode JS module which is enabled, and here I'm using a view basically. In the view, I'm calling this content types to showcase card content type. So we have this content over here. We have this card content type, and then we are showcasing this on the view. So ideal scenario when I am switching my if I'm using this particular library for if a particular client wants that they want two different two different styles, one for light and one for dark. So this does the work, but if you want to manipulate the colors in it, it doesn't provide that particular that option. So here we have these colors which are not, which has a default colors applied, but if you want to manually change it for dark or light mode, then I can just show you the basic how we do that. So I've just commented this code to show you what it is. So here we are using the media color scheme, and at the root level we are maintaining the color variables, which can be used over our CSS properties. One is for dark and one is for light, and I've changed the colors for this. So if I just file it, refresh. So I'm just touch basing on Drupal. There are many things in Drupal, but I just wanted to show this module how it works with dark mode and light mode thing. So right now we have set the dark mode. Let me check. Let me change it to light mode and dark mode. So basically at the we are telling the system to use the variables according to the preferred color scheme of the site, and it changes its color basically on the basis of what you have selected. um, so having this included in your code is best way, because we when during development we don't normally think about the scenario where we want a different variation. And when it comes to accessibility, we don't think about it. We just think about the basic accessibilities, like it should have an area label or voiceovers and those things. But about the color theme, no one talks about. So so we should actually have our client explain, like if we have these variations in our product, then it would be good in terms of accessibility part. So this is the basic stuff which I wanted to show in Drupal, how we have dark mode and light mode. If needed like in-depth understanding of Drupal, I can take another session on Drupal later on. So next topic which I wanted to cover is accessibility challenges in real world and basic tools to use. So there is one interesting certification which is available in A11y Accessibility Association.org, which has five different certification options, and these are basically advocate level options. It's not just like you need to be a developer and you can crack this. It's not that case. There are some prerequisites requisite for each of those, and having a case study, proper case study with you and study guide, it would help you to understand, and maybe you can crack this particular examination. So it's an add-on to anyone who's not just developer, or it can be anyone all along. So this is one certifications which is available. And so we are just aware about some of the tools which are used, but there are a lot of tools which are available in A11y filters, which even I was not aware. I started use it I think few months back. So we have this A11y color validator which is used, so we can check the contrast over here. So though this can be done with any other tool, but apart from this, so if you see here, so I can show you one interesting tool which is, yeah, so one is for Mac OS Elon by tool. So this is used for images, specifically images, heading tags, tables, and all those stuffs, to test it on your Safari based browser. At times Safari browser accessibilities are not catch, it's not very easy to catch, but this tools does help. So this is one example which is there for Safari Mac OS. And similarly, there are many tools which I just wanted to showcase this, so that anyone from the audience can use this or go through this design through this tools and use it in their design or their development purpose. So, in terms of accessibility in Drupal community, we have a page where it defines what all things can be done. So, assistive technology, which is voiceovers, screen readers, that can be included. That, like, there is a module as well which does that thing, and adding an area label as well. That's one another thing which is in accessibility, and there are some contrib modules as well which are used for accessibility. And then there is a interaction design foundation which I have registered with. It was since last year, so it has various courses available on human interaction design and advanced level topics. And so it has many things and practical things which you can have to upscale your UX skills or accessibility skills. So it's a very good, if you guys are know about this, but this is very good. So IBM and Apple also has a connection with this interaction design foundation, where they teach about many of the things like emotional design, like how emotion comes into design, and many things, a lot of stuff in this. So so that's about the tools. And the tools which as a developer we should use, one is wave tool, which is used, which I'll be just showcasing the Google page which I had told in the starting. And then we can have the voiceovers over here, and the color picker to check uh, what um, what you can choose for, like choose the color. And similarly other tools which makes life easy for anyone who's testing a site or basic testing. So this was all about dark theme and light theme. So I want, and this is a topic which I wanted, which I had last week I had went through, and I'll be explaining that what it is. So it's an idea shopping cart case study, which is so it happened in 1984, where there was a team of 10 who decided to work on a use case. Use case was a shopping cart. So how to make a shopping cart more accessible to everyone, like children who walks around in the shopping cart, they are tend to be falling. So when they play around with the shopping cart, it falls down. Or similarly there are many cases, so it's hazardous to, not hazardous, but it's very dangerous to people as a safety, in terms of safety. So so this session, which was conducted by IDEO team, they had brainstorming ideas, where there was iteration in ideas, and then finally they were asked to prepare a mock designs. There were four different teams which were asked to design basically four different types of carts. So four variants were modular shopping cart, high-tech shopping cart, built-on child safety cart, and fourth one was remotely talking cart. So these were the four cards which were developed. I'll be showcasing a video as well at the end of the slides, how it is. So what happened is eventually all those four designs were combined, and then there was a single card which had all the features. So the lessons in that case study are how the teamwork works, how the team works, how the innovation is, and how hard work comes into light, and how trial, error, and perseverance is used in this particular case study. So I can just showcase this particular video. Let me skip to the part which is important. So here they are trying to brainstorm on the ideas. So here they are trying to research on the group, which is empathizing the idea of researching like how shopping cart is right now and how it is affecting people. So here they have empathized, like all the teams have empathized about what all challenges people are facing, and they have jotted down their ideas on the board. So, next. So here they are brainstorming the ideas how the card can be. So they are basically doing the mock-up, prototyping of the designs, how it can be. So
Hi, Sibu.
yeah,
I wanted to see if we wanted to ask some questions at the end. We have about 9 minutes left. So,
okay.
are you about almost ready to be done?
Yeah, so I just wanted to show those four cards. That's fine. I'll just show that cards then. I think. Uh, yeah. So, so this was the first card which was designed for children, and this was yeah, this was the first one. This is the second one where they prototyped having so they can talk to the remote market, like and the marketers, where they can help. And the third one was so these were the four different cards, and then they combined it into one. So here they combined all the different cards with all the different features. One was the for babies, and then second one was for having the listing cards on the particular device, and lean design. So all the four different designs were combined, and it was basically a thing which was done. So yeah, so that was pretty much from my side. And yeah, so these are my handles which are there for LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, email, and Drupal handle. So that was it. Okay, so maybe I can take up the questions which are there.
Sure. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you talking on that. And let me just go ahead and see, say thank you. I just want to first say thank you so much, especially since you're there in the middle of the night. Um, and we'll have a few questions. Google Slides in presenter mode doesn't work in dark mode. How do you suggest we deal with large organizations like Google when there's issues like that?
So I think there are alternatives for Google Slides. That's for sure. The one which is slides.com, it does provide the so for larger organization they do prefer Google Slides, but there might be cases where the light dark mode doesn't work. So slides.com is one which has the provision to have dark mode in it. If you want dark mode, it can be dark mode, and it automatically adjusts the color within it. And yeah, so that can be done. That's one solution which I can think of for larger organization. um, so second is, I think, each slide, if they want it to be in dark mode, then they can customize it, each of those slides as they want, in dark mode. So that would be a bit harder thing, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's second solution which I can think of. That
Okay. Thank you. And next question is what are some easy changes people can make for their pages to work in light and dark mode?
is it specific to a website, or um, is it
Sure. Websites or apps or anything.
okay? So for website, as I said, it uses CSS for sure, and having media query preferred mode, dark mode. So it has by default light and dark modes. So we can detect whether it has a light mode or dark mode. and on the basis of that we can add our customization, whether it's color or if you want a different image or anything customization which you want. You can include that within that media query, which I think showed shown that in the code pen, where we can have that particular CSS or changes. Same is with the JavaScript as well. If you want that to be done, we can check it with window dot query. In that, you
Mhm.
can have that variable prefer mode. So if you detect that, then you can do your customization with JavaScript as well. So
That's great. I think we have maybe one more question and then we'll wrap up. So let's see. What is the best site you have seen that handles dark to light mode well?
Uh, one site I would talk is A11yTalks. It does that site has the dark mode functionality. So if everyone has taken a look into that site, that does had has that dark to light mode variation. And second is IBM. IBM is one site which I can talk about. It has dark mode and light mode by default customized in there. Let me if I can open that out.
Okay.
So yeah, it does have
So
it has
IBM.com, right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you so much for your talk. Again, thank you for talking when it's like past midnight where you're at in India.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. Coming up in January, we will have Redesigning for Cognitive Ease with Alyssa Panetta. She's a web designer and developer at University Libraries at the University of Albany. Mark your calendars for that. That's January 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just a reminder, we are always looking for speakers and new voices in the accessibility community. A reminder for those with IAAP certifications that ALI Talk speakers and attendees receive professional development credits, so the CAEC, through the IAAP for your continuing education. So if you watch this video, you can use that. We also make a conscious effort to include marginalized groups in our tech in our speaker lineup. So please let us know if you have any ideas on how to make Alley Talks more friendly to all. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss a talk. That's youtube.com/c/accessibility talks. Consider contributing to Alley Talks through our Open Collective page. That's opencollective.com/Alley Talks. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Alley Talks or on Mastodon, and that's mstdn.social/at Talks. If you can afford to support Alley Talks and help us achieve our mission to normalize digital accessibility through education, please consider joining the Alley Cat Club or give a one-time donation. Go to alleytalks.com/pages/slash sponsorship to learn more. And that's it for us. Thank you again, Sibu. We really appreciate it and learned a lot. So that's awesome.
Thank
Take
you.
care
Thank you.
and have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.